What's going on, everyone? Thanks for stopping by. So, in case you follow me on any type of the socials, you know that I already found the short. So, what I want to do today is before I drop you into the video of me finding the short, because I didn't plan on videoing that day, I didn't plan on finding it. It's one of those where I was just been at it for like 2 weeks searching and I couldn't figure it out. So, I kind of wanted to give you an idea of what I used, what worked for me, what kind of didn't do anything. And that way, if you're stuck in this similar situation, it might work out for you. For me, it was a third gen Tacoma. For you, it could, obviously any vehicle. Some of these fundamental basics will work for you as well. So yeah, let me just jump right in. Before I even get into the tools, just know when you're dealing with electrical work like this, there's a lot of gremlins that you're going to go through and figure out, and you're going to go through a lot of internal gremlins as well. So I know for me, I don't really have like a huge ego when it comes to fixing stuff or not being able to fix it. Like, I'm fine. I'll get to the point where I'm like, hey, this is beyond me, and I have no issue with that. I'm fine. Where I have an issue with and where it bothers me is if I can't figure out what's wrong, right? So I have no issues figuring it out and then being like, I'm gonna let a professional do that, right? My issue comes when I can't even figure out what's wrong. Then it starts to bother me. So I was like getting annoyed. Like, I went through a lot of like getting pissed and then getting kind of down. Even my wife was like, yo, dude, you need to snap out of it. And I was like, yo, I'm getting pissed. Like, it's bringing me down that I can't figure this out. So if you're going to tackle a job like this and you have other vehicles that you can drive, just know it's always going to be in the back of your head and it's going to be bothering you until you can figure it out. So in between the 2 weeks, I did take it to a shop that I trust. But my shop is like a bunch of like old school mechanics, you know what I'm saying? Like, they like working on the mechanical aspects of stuff. They're not going to be amazing at electrical work. And they told me that, and I was like, hey man, just give it a shot. Let's see what you could do. After like 2 days, which, by the way, they didn't like take everything apart as much as I did. I took the truck to them already, everything taken apart and stuff. And they were just like, hey man, I can't have it in my bay taking up all this room. So it's like, we gave it a little bit of a try. Here's some wiring diagrams, but we can't figure it out. They didn't charge me anything, and I love them, so they always work on my stuff and they do things right. So I have no issues with them. First off, most importantly, I think the most important thing that you could do is get yourself wiring diagrams, right? For the circuit that you're blowing the fuse on, or whatever circuit you think that fuse is on, right? So for me, I like these older type 2D wiring diagrams. The reason why I like these over like the super fancy colored ones is because this is all on one page, right? So it'll break down the diagram for you on one page versus having like 7 pages to go through. And then also, if you're sitting on a laptop looking at it, scrolling through all these different pages to go back and forth, like, I find that annoying. I like these. They have a lot of information on them, so I like these more. So first off, first thing you need to do, get the wiring diagram for that circuit. I would say the next thing that you should do without even looking at this is find out anything aftermarket that you have connected onto that circuit. So if you put any type of clips, if you're running any type of accessories, any type of lights, anything that could potentially be on that circuit, remove them from the circuit so that you initially remove that having any aspect of the short. So you know right away if the short's going to be in what you added or it isn't. Next up would be if you don't have anything added on, like no accessories. Has there been any accidents in the past where some work was done? Focus on that area, is what I would say. So if you get those two out of the way and you're still finding a short like me and you can't figure it out, these are some of the tools that I used that would help you out. I would say first off, this. There's a ton of good examples on how to use this. This is a power probe, and this is their, I think it's called, this is the ECT 3000. Basically, one end of the probe gets plugged into wherever the short is, and then you have a sensor. What that probe will do on the short is send a signal down the wiring, right? And what that signal will do, well, you can follow that signal with the probe until where it breaks. If you have a clean break in the wire, basically, it's going to stop the signal. You can come back, and it has helped out some people on YouTube. Have used it, and it has helped them out finding their short. The way that my short was very difficult to find because it's almost like it came out the front of the fuse box on a terminated wire, or I think what they would call it at Toyota would be the wire is spliced, and it was sitting outside of the wiring harness, right? So every plug that I unplugged on that circuit, everything that I checked on that circuit, I never got any readings at the fuse saying that something was wrong, because it was past all of it, which is interesting. And I might not be amazing at reading these wiring diagrams, but I couldn't find where on the wiring diagram it had this certain wire that was shorted coming out the front of the fuse box. This didn't happen, so I found that interesting. Something else that you can use is, these are called fuse savers. Basically just going through my arsenal of electrical stuff, because I used all this. These are kind of cool. What these do is, like, this is the lower end kit, so I only have 3 fuse savers, like a capacitor in here. Once it heats up to a certain point, it will flip this switch back here, and basically you would be plugging this into the fuse that is blowing, and then the other end into the capacitor. And that way you can walk around the truck with it, or walk around your vehicle unplugging things to see if the capacitor blows or stays. And then once it blows, like, you'll know, oh, I hit it. Or if it stays, you're like, oh, this must be it, nothing happened. So, and since this is the lower end one, there's other like fuse size capacitors in here that you could get, you know, for different ratings. And then also the higher end one has a little alarm that you like plug the alarm into here, and then you plug this in. So in case you're not next to it and you flip something or you pull a wire, the alarm will go off and let you know, hey, you found it, you know. So something that helps. Also used the regular power probe, so that's this guy. And I use this one too for finding grounds, which I liked a lot. It just lets you know if you have a good ground or not. Also a bunch of awesome YouTube videos on this and how to use this. I'm not really amazing with this. Like, I don't feel comfortable yet putting a lot of power to things. There's some things I'll put power to, but not everything. But this allows you to put power and put ground to different connections in different areas on the circuit, so you can quickly like eliminate stuff. So that was good. I used this a lot too. I actually used it on all the grounds to confirm if they were good. This, I'd say kind of really up there on the list is you want some type of multimeter. This is an auto one. You don't have to have an auto one. Any one will work. But you want to be able to read currents, and you want to be able to pull currents from different areas. This will definitely help you a lot, especially if you don't want to like spend the money on this stuff. Like if you don't already have it, this is perfect to get in there and try to figure things out with. My problem just required a little bit more than this. So it's one of those where you won't know until you get into this problem. Something else I have that worked out, and there was actually a suggestion. Sometimes when you have a really hard time finding stuff, this is a thermal imager. So what you can do is set it up to where it's always going to like pretend that the fuse is blown, so it's always going to be throwing the current. So you can put a light in it. You can do many different things, which we'll get to the light in a second. But what you can do is simulate the fuse constantly blowing, and then look through around and on the circuit what is actually, if there's any wiring that's exposed that would be hot. Thermal camera might help you out. Didn't help me out at all because, again, because of my issue. Your issue might be different. It's one of those where it really is one of those where it's like the potential for it to help you, it could be there, but there's no guarantee that it will. For me with electrical, it's one of those things where you're going to throw everything that you can at this thing to not take it to the dealer, because you know what they're going to say. So it's one of those where I'm doing everything I can to not get it there. I will say, like, I really like this test light. I've had this test light for a long time. I don't think it's, in terms of test lights, it's a little bit more expensive than like one of these guys. But I mean, I still think it's under 20 bucks. And the reason why I like this test light is because it gives you a voltage reading too. So depending on what you're doing and where you're working on, when you switch things on and off, the readings are going to jump. So to let you know, like, once you know too what it's supposed to be pulling, you could be like, oh, well, that's pulling real low, or pulling real high. So these are important to have. I also like this little tiny one. For some reason, I have a thing with tiny tools. I feel like the smaller the tool to get the job done, the better for me. So I like this one. Sometimes I can leave this one attached in the front of the truck. I'll bring this one to the back, so that way I have an idea of both, you know. It's just, you know, stuff that I'm throwing around. I thought these were interesting too. This is a pack of, it's almost like, it's the right way to say this because it's got a bunch of different fuse sizes, right? So what you end up doing is you can put this into the blown fuse and then run your wiring to different areas to figure out, run it to a light that you can walk around the truck and stuff to figure out if you're going to get on the, once you're on the right circuit, if you pulled the right piece. So this is nice, not real expensive, nice to have. To get into what worked the best for me and how I was able to find this, which is pretty interesting. So this is actually two, let me take this apart. So this is two different pieces here. Alright, so this is an H11 light. So I think it's a regular headlight and it's a halogen, it's not an LED light, okay? So there's a filament there. And just an H11 light plug, right? And then I made these connections here for the purposes of wiring this guy into one of these, like this basically. And then how you're going to run this is you're going to put your positive side to your positive battery terminal, and then you're going to take the negative side, right, and you're going to put it to in your fuse box. Let's say if you're having a blown fuse at the fuse box, what you're going to do is you're going to, when you pull that fuse, one side is going to have power and one side isn't. The one that doesn't have power is generally going to be the one that, the side where the short is, right? So you're going to put this negative on that side, and what will happen is it will light up the light. So now as you're looking around the truck and you're starting to pull things on different circuits, once this light goes out, or instead of going out, sometimes what it will do is it'll kind of flicker. It'll let you know like, hey, you're in the right area, you're in the vicinity of where the short is. So to me, this is what worked the best, and this is the least expensive thing that I have sitting on this table. So this is how I was able to find my short. And it had to do everything with making sure you hook it up the right way. It's super important. Positive needs to go to the positive, and the negative needs to go over to where you're shorting, as in like where the fuse is shorting, on the side of the fuse that is shorting, not the side that has power normally, the side that is shorting. Super important because that basically closes the loop and allows whatever is causing the short to flow through this light. So when you play or you touch or you unplug anything on the circuit, right, or in the area that is causing the short, the light is going to flicker. When it flickers, it is one of the best feelings in the world after 2 weeks of searching for this shit. So you really want this to work. And this is what worked out the best for me. All these things are great to have, you know, if you want to start just throwing everything you can at it to figure it out. Amazing. This is what solved my problem. And I want to say where these things failed, I think it was because of the location of where my short was. It was past, almost, like, if I can say it the right way, it was past everything that you could search to figure out where it came from. So it was past all the plugs, all the connections, all the lights, even the fuse box. It was ahead of it. So there was nothing that I could, there was nothing that I could unplug or check that would cause this to dimmer on the circuit, other than the day that I was messing with it and I hit that ground, which, by the way, I had already checked that ground. So the ground I know was good. So that is basically everything that I used to figure this out. But importantly, if you're going to decide to tackle this, just know, mentally be prepared, because you're going to have days of feeling extremely defeated, okay? So when I was kind of feeling really pissed and down, that's when I installed the Noco D2, because I was like, all right, let me just do a little easy install and make myself feel a little bit better. So it's coming for you. And then understand too, like, I did not plan, I wasn't ready to film the day that I filmed. So I look like I haven't slept in like 3 weeks, all right? But just know, like, I was struggling with this and trying to get this one in and done, because I was seriously getting like down, man. I was watching everybody outside wheeling, having a good time, trucks flying all over the place, driving by Tacomas, and I'm like, this sucks that I can't drive myself. Just know that's where you're going to go through. I'll have links to all this stuff down below, and if you need anything from me or you have any questions about this, let me know. Definitely not great with electrical, still not great at reading those diagrams, but I have learned a lot in this last like 2 to 3 weeks of trying to struggle through this. Man, I'm just stubborn enough that I was like, I'm not taking this to the dealership. I'm gonna figure this shit out. Like, it's not gonna beat me, you know. I just told myself that every day. So you guys be good. I'm going to put you in the video now. If you have anything that you need from me, just let me know down below. Thanks. What is going on, everyone? Thanks for stopping by. Man, have I been going through it lately. So, say probably about the last 2 to 3 weeks, I've been dealing with a short in the stop fuse. For some people, it seems to be real easy. They can just like change their lights in the rear, unplug a couple things, and they'll find the short pretty easy. It has been pretty tough for me to try to track this thing down. I think today we finally made some progress. So I've been at it for 2 weeks. Let me show you what the truck looks like. Check. So first off, I got all my aux box. Let me get my readers out of the way because I'm old. I got the aux box up here completely out of the way. All right. Got pretty much half. Took my compressor off. So you can see I have everything here taped up. So the compressor's off just so I can get into this module. I got this module disconnected here. I'm coming over here. Look at the interior. I have everything taken off here. Pretty much everything there. I've got everything off here. I got everything off on that end. I have the rear. I don't really have rear seats anymore, but I do have the headliner completely removed. I just have it. I got the piece of wood in there to hold it up so I didn't want to get too creased up. And I have rear light removed so we can check it. So these are brand new. Obviously they're aftermarket, but I took off the meso lights. So brand new, and then just regular bulbs. Again, brand new regular bulbs. I checked these completely. My lights up here, those were good. I got everything hanging here. Here's the connector for the pin. I obviously removed everything that I did for the whips. But my God, if you guys knew what I had been through here. So I've checked every ground. I've checked everything. I've power probed every single ground. And I think that we found where it is. So if you look at my flashlight. You look down right in there. You see that ground screw? Is it too bright? Yeah, let's go this way. See that ground screw right there? Got the light on it. Right, that one right there. So I probed that one. You can actually see where I probed it because it's got like a fresh metal with the probe. And it came back saying that the ground was good, right? So what I did was I took the battery off. I unscrewed the ground. I sanded it down, then I cleaned it with acetone. I also cleaned behind it because there was a lot of crud in there. The connection wasn't great, so I was like, bro, if it's a fucking ground, I'm going to be so happy right now. Like, it's like a little bit of two because I'm pissed that it was only this. Then I'm happy that it's only this, but then I'm also pissed that now I got to put everything back together that I potentially didn't have to take off. So it should be fun figuring where all the wiring is. Anyways, watch this light right here. So right now it's low enough that if I was to put a fuse in to the light, it's low enough right now. Oh shit. Let me fix that. Alright, so I want you to look at this light right now. So I basically have, so I got the positive to the positive, right? And I got a pin going into the shorted side of the fuse, right? You see this light right now, it's just light enough. This is why these H11s are great, by the way. Whoever it was at Tacoma World that said use a H11, thank you. Are really good because it'll, and you don't want to use LED, like use like some type of a halogen because it'll give you like a range, right? If I come and move that ground, like if I play with the wiring, check out the light. Get it? See that? Like I'm not on the ground of the wall, I'm on the harness where the ground is going into the harness. So we're gonna open that up and see if there's anything there. Obviously this is it right here. So right there, the fuse will not hold. Like this low, the fuse will hold. So something is going on in this harness. We're going to open that up and see if we can figure it out. But look, you see it? It's flickering. That's insane. So something is going on right there. We're going to open that up and check it. But if this works, I'm going to be so freaking happy. Also pissed that I got to put everything back together. So I'm going to get the battery out of the way. Let's open this up, see if I can show you exactly where it is. All right, look what. So before I even, God, I'm pissed and I'm happy at the same time. So my +2s because I'm old, okay? So before I even break into this harness, look at what I just found. So just to make it clear, every single connection in this truck has been disconnected. I don't think there's a single connection that I've left untouched. So everything has been disconnected. Everything has been looked through. Everything that I've ever attached has been removed. And I'm not a huge fan of, the little vampire clips. I think right now I have like only 4 in the whole truck. And there's like one to like a US. Anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself because I'm excited. But look at what I just found. What is that? You see that right there? Look at that, motherfucker. That little shit is the cause of what is my issue. Alright guys, so here's a better look at it. Right there. I'm just going to basically, I'm going to cut it, clean it. I'm going to use one of those waterproof solder connections, but I'm not really happy that Toyota left this whole clump of wires along with this one like sitting outside of this harness. That kind of was, I think that sucked. So what I'm going to end up doing is probably taking both of these clumps. Once this is done, after I tape it all up, I'm going to run like a plastic sheath over it, which should help out. We'll get everything back together and we'll test to make sure before I cut open into the bigger harness. Obviously, I see that. I want to get that done first. And then we'll cut into the bigger harness if that's not the problem. But my fingers are crossed that that's it. So let's, I'm going to do that real quick. I wasn't planning on filming anything today, so I don't have anything set up to film you guys in here. I'm going to cut that, clean it, put it back together. We'll test it. And oh my God, if this works, truck is back in action.